weird thing about people when it comes to my race. When I say I'm Dominican, they try to say I'm black too. I am not black, honey. I'm not black, aight?
The black epidemic is now global. Majority of the civilized world knows the truth of who you are. Yet they won't teach or even discuss the truth about your history with you. There's a mindset that makes anyone you encounter uneasy or at dis-ease because you consider yourself black. How do we reverse this? You have to see through the illusions that have been set before you by your oppressors. To better understand the origins of this black epidemic, you must know for yourself the truths being presented here. We'll have to go deep into a concept that is very emotional for many. A concept involving race, history, culture, words, and the brutal truth. Journey with us now into this fascinating topic of the black epidemic. Black, it's not about complexion. How perplexing is this statement? Is it confusing, unnerving, even infuriating? It doesn't make sense, does it? It makes perfect sense to those who are not wrapped up in the black epidemic. Let's do a simple experiment. This is black. Is your skin the exact hue as this box? Take a second and thoroughly examine it. Is your skin literally black? Once you wake up to the deeper impact of being black, you may find the designation to be downright disturbing.
So now you in 5th and 6th grade learning about black, white, red, yellow in a colonial society. Your very vision doesn't even see the solution. Let me give you an example here. The example is this. Look at this. You see this? This is the color black. This. When I put my hand up against it, it don't match. Okay? It don't match. Take a look at me. And take a look at black. Okay? I'm just gonna talk about thinking.
Gorilla does not eat the food of a lion, but the black race eat the food of a lion.
True.
So we can't eat Chinese food. We can't eat Caucasian foods. We are not Caucasian. We are not Chinese. We are black. We are black. Well, I use the word black, and I use that too loosely because I don't like the word.
What's a good word?
I don't even know. White collars ourselves anything.
The shadows.
No, I am. You call me Negro, you call me nigger, you call me colored boy, you call me black, you call me African. I'm not an African. Because the continent was not named Africa until a white man named it Africa. So what are we?
The words you use have unimaginable power. Attempting to put a positive spin on a negative word is pointless. The true underlying meaning and essence of the word still remains. In sacred Moorish literature, Noble Ali asks, what is meant by the word black? His answer, black according to science, means death. Hence the phrases, black plague, black market, black list, black bald, black sheep, black magic, and etc. Honestly, Isn't this the observable outcomes of countless so-called black people all over the world?
Again, it's not that black is negative because it's associated with people of African ancestry. I keep telling people black was negative before it was applied. That's why those who wanted to oppress us used it. And even in Spanish, the term negro, they called Africans who they had enslaved, they called them negros, right? They were saying, and at one time they also said piezas, which means pieces, like things. But the idea is, again, to say, you don't have personhood. I've made you into a thing. And I literally mean thing.
If you recall, the literary definition of black, take note that black is an adjective and not a noun. Adjectives describe the condition of a noun. Understand, whenever people refer to themselves as black, they are not identifying who they are. They are merely attaching themselves to a condition shrouded in death, misery, and other horrid synonyms. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family. Noble Drew Ali couldn't emphasize this enough to the Moorish Americans. He had a clear understanding that these terms hold an undesirable psychological and spiritual weight. Let's go even further beyond the literal and spiritual issues of so-called black skin.
And something was bothering me about what I had read in my research, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when I realized, wait a minute, white people weren't there. Like that label, it did not exist in these early laws of the 1600s.
See this? This is white. This towel is white. If white people look like this, they get dead. No human being can exist as a white person. That is colonial indoctrination. There is no white people in nature.
Are so-called white people literally white? Is there some hidden meaning behind the term white? And if so, are so-called white people even aware of its effects? Steve Biko was a South African activist. Historians credit Steve Biko for popularizing the phrase, "Black is beautiful." Steve Biko's character in Cry Freedom, played by Denzel Washington, exposes a great secret about so-called black and white identity.
But why do you use a phrase like black is beautiful?
Because black is commonly associated with negatives. The black market, the black sheep of the family, anything which is supposed to be bad.
Then why do you use the word? Why call yourselves black? I mean, you people are more brown than black.
Why do you call yourselves white? You people are more pink than white.
Precisely.
The basis of this scene is from an actual conversation between Steve Biko and Judge Boshoff in 1976. Here lies the logical common sense approach to white identity. The scene teaches us two quick and simple lessons. We'll address the first lesson now and the second lesson later on. The first lesson is this: the idea that a person is white contradicts science and common sense. Recall the black skin test performed in the previous chapters. Apply the same test for so-called white people. For the sake of time, we can confidently say that everyone fails the white skin test. Like the black skin test, although a few may come close, no one is scientifically white or black. To say so is a contradiction to reality. These contradictions stem from the same seed discussed in the previous chapter. This myth also grows in your mind as truth. The myth is this: a person is white because their skin is white. Indeed, this is a horrible myth. A myth we're going to completely elaborate on right now. In sacred Moorish literature, Noble Drew Ali, affectionately known as the Prophet, asks, what is meant by the word white? White means purity, purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. How true is this? Let's fact check Drew Ali's claims. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines white as free from spot or blemish, such as free from moral impurity, innocent as a symbol of purity. Purity is defined as lack of guilt or evil thoughts, the quality or state of being pure, being entirely without fault or defect. Perfect. God is defined as the perfect and all-powerful spirit or being, the being perfect in power, wisdom, and goodness. A powerful ruler. And for closure, ruler, as in the ruler of the land, is defined as a person having supreme power over a nation. What is Noble Drew Ali teaching us about white in relation to the skin complexion? Once again, the same myth, a person is white because their skin is white, is being exposed. More astonishing though, Noble Drew Ali reveals a divine and spiritual authority implied by the term white.
In Spanish, the term negro, they called Africans who they had enslaved, they called them negros, right? They were saying, and at one time they also said piezas, which means pieces, like things. But the idea is, again, to say, you don't have personhood. I've made you into a thing, and I literally mean thing.
I made you into a thing. What does Dr. Pimienta Bay mean by making you into a thing? Is he referring to a metaphoric comparison to property, cattle, livestock? Or is this a play off the word black? Black being a word which implies something that doesn't even have life. Or is Dr. Pimienta Bay also referring to something much more menacing? The answer is yes to all three. To expound on this, let's refer to history and a little-known quote from a prominent American figurehead. It is but justice to the fruitfulness of that period to mention two other important events, the Lutheran Reformation in 1517, and still earlier, the invention of Negroes, or of the present mode of using them in 1434. Inventions and Discoveries, April 6, 1858, by Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States of America. When Lincoln borrowed a book he didn't like, chronicles the events which transpired in the William Dungy case. In January 1855, a small feud caught fire between Joseph Spencer and his brother-in-law, William Dungy. Spencer began spreading rumors that Dungy was a Negro. Slanders from Spencer included insults such as Dark Bill and a nigger married to a white woman. Accounts from the court case quotes Spencer went from house to house, gabbling. Yes, gabbling. That Dungy was a nigger. It is apparent Dungy had dark skin. This was worse than a personal insult, for Illinois' black law, as modified only 2 years earlier, had restricted the immigration into Illinois of any free black person. If Spencer's allegation went unchallenged, Dungy's very marriage was at risk, as well as his property and right to remain in Illinois. Dungy sought legal counsel for the matter and hired an attorney. The attorney's name, Abraham Lincoln. FYI, Lincoln, Clifton H. Moore, and the presiding judge, Judge David Davis, were all close friends. Moore and Lincoln were close colleagues and worked as lawyers for the Illinois Central Railroad. Moore and Judge Davis were real estate partners, which later made them extremely wealthy. When eventually the trial commenced before a jury in the Circuit Court of DeWitt County, Lincoln laid out his case with skill and simple eloquence. Lincoln then declared, "My client is not a Negro. Though it is a crime to be a Negro, no crime to be born with black skin. But my client is not a Negro. His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor." Lincoln's final punchline reveals an obvious correlation between so-called Negroes, dark complexion, and Moors.
In terms of our institutions, most of it has not been dedicated to trying to spread knowledge to create a more egalitarian or equitable society.
Those with the knowledge of our true heritage don't share this knowledge for two main reasons: suppression or black dis-ease. Suppression. Some people don't want you to empower yourself with knowledge of self. They believe holding back this knowledge allows those in position of power to maintain that power. Or black dis-ease. They don't know if they can trust telling you such knowledge. When told the truth, you may be likely to react in an irrational, angry, or violent manner. Remember how you first felt when you heard. The term black is not about complexion, or black according to science means death. What was your emotional state when first listening to these chapters? Bothered? Unnerved? Angry? Furious? Imagine how your family would react to this knowledge. Your friends, a perfect stranger. Picture in your mind a European or so-called white person telling you, white means purity, purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. The result would be a heated argument, or altercation at the least. This is why it is important for you to learn who you are, for yourself. Know thyself. It is an ancient mandate for every human being. This series and many others can only be found exclusively on AMEXEM. Quickly sign up with our 3-step process to get started. The link to access your trial is in the description below. We'll see you in the next chapter. Peace and love.